Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 170 in the book of Genesis. Today is about the life of a parent is bound up in the life of a child. So Joseph is exposing the sins of his brothers. So he's using things that they actually did not do, steal a cup in today's story, to reveal sins that they actually did do. And he's going to sort of wrongly accuse them of this to expose what he's going to rightly accuse them of. So he's using stuff that they didn't do to point to stuff that they did do. So they did not steal money the first time. They're not spies, and they didn't steal the silver cup. And they're getting an idea that it feels bad to be wrongly accused. So they've been accusing themselves in a right way for 25 years and continuing in a sin of conspiracy against God and against their brother, and having their father have the guilt of this for 25 years. So let's pick up the story just after this silver cup that Joseph put into the sacks of his brothers was discovered. This is from Genesis chapter 44, verse 14. When Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house, he was still there, and they fell to the ground before him. So Judah, let me just pause here. Judah is taking the lead. He's not the oldest of the brothers, but he's probably the most repentant. And why Judah? Because he almost burns his son to death and almost burns his daughter-in-law to death by his own will. Because of this unfortunate episode with Tamar. So I think that he's the most repentant, and he's leading the brothers in repentance. Verse 15, Joseph said to them, "What deed is this that you have done?" He's accusing them of being stealers of this cup. "Do you not know that a man like me can indeed practice divination?" So Joseph doesn't practice divination, but he's saying to them it's part of this ruse to let them know that he can see that he's stealing from them. And the brothers have to be, totally upside down about this, and because they're not stealing from him, but they have previously stolen from him. They stole his life from him 25 years ago. All right, back to the story. Verse 16. And Judah said, "What shall we say to my Lord? What shall we speak? How can we clear ourselves? God has found out the guilt of your servants." Isn't that the truth? God has found out the guilt of his servants. "Behold, we are my Lord's servants," small l, he's talking about Joseph here, "and both we and he also in whose hand the cup has been found." So he's talking about their youngest brother Benjamin is the one that the cup was in the saddlebags of. So Judah is including himself and all the brothers and saying, hey, we're all going to bear this guilt together. Why? Because they promised to be Joseph's slaves, give their life as a pledge if anyone stole. Well, now they find out that someone stole. So at this moment in time, all the brothers of Israel believe that they are going to be slaves in Egypt forever. Think about that. Yikes. So now they know what it's like to have their lives taken into slavery in Egypt, just like they ended up doing with their brother Joseph. So this guilt from 25 years ago is brewing. So how do you get people to feel bad for selling someone into slavery? Well, by having them themselves be indebted into slavery in a foreign land. That's where they sit at this moment in time. Or at least get them to think about what it's like to be sold into slavery, because that's what has happened to them. All right, verse 17. But he said, "Far be it from me that I should do so. Only the man in whose hand the cup is found shall be my servant. But as for you, go up in peace to your father." So Joseph says, "Nope, I'm just going to keep the guy who's got the cup. That's Benjamin. The rest of you go back to your father." Then Judah went up to him and said, "O Lord, please let your servant speak a word in my Lord's ear, and let not your anger burn against your servant, for you are like Pharaoh himself." So Judah is going to recall a story about going back to his father and his response to Simeon being kept in Egypt as a hostage and a pledge to get their youngest brother, Benjamin, to come down. So Judah kind of recounts the story that we've already gone over. And he's going to recall what it did to their father. That's what I want to end on here today. And how hard it is for the loss of a child. So it's almost instructive for the brothers to learn the consequences of their sins. So selling Joseph and portraying him as torn to bits by a wild beast to their father has caused their father to grieve for 25 years. The loss of a child for a parent kind of never goes away. Jacob states, I just cannot lose another precious son. If I do, it will kill me. I will go to my grave because of this. So you'll bring down my gray hairs to the grave is literally what Jacob says. If the boy is not with us when we go home, he will die. So Judah says, if we go home without our youngest brother Benjamin, dad is going to die. Jacob is going to die, also known as Israel. He's going to bring down his gray hairs to the grave. So this will not just figuratively kill him. He's saying, no, I think he's really going to die. Why? Because Jacob's life is bound up in the boy's life. That's where I want to camp on that today. So then Judah offers the pledge of himself. So the life of a parent is bound up in the life of the child. When do you stop being a parent? Never. At what age does that office end? Never. So the death of a child, and I'm thinking this morning about friends who have lost a child. Some have lost a child at birth. Some have lost one before. Some have lost children at adult life. Some miscarried. And even the secret loss of abortion, maybe even especially so. So the special guilt of having a hand in breaking this bond of all bonds, of mother and child, of father and child. All these parents have demonstrated grief because the life of the parent is bound up in the life of a child. So this word bound up, I looked up the Hebrew word, it means to be bound together, compacted into one. My soul is bound to the soul of this person. We're so closely connected that you hurt him, you hurt me. And every parent knows this. So the two main aggrieved parties in this story of Joseph are Joseph and his father. They are both having now to expose the consequences of the sins of their brothers by this breaking of the bond together of parent and child. So why Judah? Because I think he's got the most seared conscience. So let's pause and appreciate the bounding up that is the office of parent and child. Let's see it. Let's feel the pain of those who have lost it. This story here, I think, forces those who have lost this bond and been wrenched apart of this because of sickness or accident or even intent of a parent. So if this is you, let's not waste our grief. Like those in the story, let the pain of that return us to the Lord. The exposure and experience of pain, the loss of this bond, is important enough to God to make much of it in the story. Why? It's always for us to help us. So let's not waste it. Tomorrow you must come back because tomorrow is about don't waste your abortion. Thanks for listening.